Welcome everyone to the newest episode of Sass and the Beard, and we are sorry that we missed you last week. Chris and I feel like it's been forever since we had an episode, but thank you so much for taking the time to watch our show. I feel like we're all at this point, Kristen, just like hung over from the preparations for the eclipse. I know that like I'm ready for it to be here. You know, we're inside the 10-day forecast. We know it's at least maybe not gonna rain, but it might be cloudy, but it might not be.
My official stance on the eclipse at this point today is the eclipse can suck a dick. I'm over it. I am over it.
Honestly, I'm really excited. I'm starting to see like vehicles from other states get into town.
Cool.
I think Russellville deserves a win.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I think y'all have done an amazing job getting ready for it. Like, I think it's going to be great. It's not because there's anything wrong. It's because from the minute on April Fool's Day that I saw a headline that said that the path had like shifted way off, and I was almost crying because I know how hard everybody has worked to like bring this together for years now. I mean, for like 2 years, people have been working to bring this together, and now it's like here.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I am excited for Russellville, but also I am so fucking over it. Like, I'm just so done with it. And so, yeah, I'm going to step out in my yard and look at the eclipse, and then I'm going to go back inside and wait for everybody to leave.
I'm going to be right in the middle of it, the thick of it. All of those people, my family, we're going to be at Joshua's Fine Jewelry, and we're going to be walking around downtown, and hanging out with folks. I know I saw that the April Fool's Arkansas Times post about how NASA had messed up with their calculations and the path of totality was completely different.
Dude.
And I was like, I freaked out for a second, and then I remembered it was April Fool's Day.
Yeah, I know. I read it down to the bottom, and I was like, this is trash.
Yeah.
This is just complete trash.
I have a friend that from NASA that's going to be here, and I wanted to message her and be like, "What is this?"
But I do love. We have kind of a theme this week from our sponsor at Plant Parlor.
Yes, Plant Parlor.
Instead of having our golden ass, we have a golden astronaut. I love it.
Thank you,
It's
Plant Parlor.
so cute, and they have them. They're downtown now, and so they have these available for folks who are coming to check out the eclipse, or if you're wanting to kind of commemorate the experience, you can get a golden ass and a golden astronaut while you're in there. I just think it's so cute. I love it.
You can get both. You don't have to get one or the other. You can get both. There's lots of cool stuff going on for the eclipse downtown and all across the city. You can go to the Chamber's website to look at all the fun stuff. But from our sponsors here at Sass and the Beard, we want to just really kind of highlight a couple of events. Retro Roast has an Eclipse Latte.
Eclipsenator latte that's white and dark chocolate. And look, if you want, you can. It's really
good. Different flavor, isn't it? Just chocolate?
No, it's not. It's really not. White chocolate is not actually chocolate.
Why do we have? Why can't it just be chocolate?
Hey.
Look, it's not. And but it's really good. And if you can go get the like sassy Eclipsenator, and that just means it has soy because I don't fuck with milk.
Or Bailey's.
Ooh, that's what I should be doing.
You got to bring your own Bailey's, though. At Dog Ear Books, Mike Massimino will be at Dog Ear Books, the astronaut that's coming to town. The books are there. We're hoping that we can get a visit with him, the author, there at Dog Ear Books. It's going to be Get Lit in the Dark at Dog Ear Books, which will be like a fun literature event. Travis Simpson and some other local authors.
The day before, on April 7th, they're going to be there. Yep.
Yeah, and there's a ton of stuff going on downtown. There's going to be music playing at the stage downtown all weekend. There's a Beatles cover band coming to Russellville, like a legit Beatles, like going to be at the Performing Center for the Arts.
Very cool.
Yeah. all kinds of fun stuff.
It is. It's very cool. I'm planning, like, I'm going to probably try to come downtown Friday night because I feel like that'll be early enough that, like, it won't be too bad yet.
Right.
I think it's going to really be, like, Sunday night and then Monday right after when people are trying to leave the area. That's going to be so bad traffic-wise. Like, I feel for people like you who have to try to get downtown on Monday before and then, leave after the eclipse. But I think for, I know I've heard some people just being really wild about it. They're like, I'm getting like 2 weeks of groceries and I'm like, listen, nobody is staying that long.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, unless there's like a catastrophe, which like there would like.
That's not.
So
going to happen.
Like the thing is like, there's no reason to prepare for those folks being here long term because they want to go home and go back to work just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
It may take them 10 hours to get out of town, but at some point they're going to get out of town.
Yeah. Well, and somebody sent us a message, asked a good question, and I reached out to get clarification on it. So we'd gotten a couple messages about Russellville School District is renting out spots for RVs and stuff for people to be able to be there, and they were asking, kind of concerned, originally the school was going to be out on Tuesday also, but because of the inclement weather we had in January and there's no more AMI days, they had to go ahead and put them, in school that day on Tuesday. So people were asking, like, what's going to happen with these people who are camping? Are they going to still be there when the kids come back to school? How's that going to work out?
It'd be kind of weird, yeah.
Right? I wouldn't like that. I don't want people there with my kid,
For sure.
And so I reached out to the school district, their communications director, and asked her just, what's going on? We've gotten these questions, and she was very helpful and just basically said that everybody who is camping at like an RSC spot, they have to leave by 7 p.m. on that Monday of the eclipse. And then there are school resource officers that are going to be making sure that when students return, there's no issues, that it's safe, that there's not anybody remaining on campus that shouldn't be there. So I thought that was a good plan that they have in place to be able to like keep kids safe, but still accommodate people who are coming into town.
Well, and it's crazy because like I was talking to somebody from another city that's close to here, and they were a business owner in that city, and they were like, we don't really have any idea what our city is doing. And I just want to give props. I know like I'm a city council member, but I would love to give props to our employees at the city, the downtown director, Fred, the mayor's just running around town, and then Christy Graham and several folks are just working really hard to make sure like the employees downtown, like they got a parking lot available for them with passes, like there are maps and everything set out, like there are physical and wet and digital copies of everything. I just think like there's been so much negative about our community from like bad for business or casino or, we're not getting a Buc-ee's, but Benton's getting a Buc-ee's now. Like there's all this stuff that, and even with like the school district, there's been some negative and everything, but like our city, I feel like really needs a win. And I think this could really be it. And I everybody has put in a whole lot of work to see it succeed. And so if it doesn't succeed, it won't be because people didn't put forth the effort. So thank you for all of you who have been working very hard to make this eclipse event a success in our community.
Yes, so very much appreciated. Done a great job. I'm excited about it.
Speaking of good news and RSD.
Yes.
Last year there was a considerable amount of uproar about a particular vehicle that had been purchased for the use of the superintendent. And there was some blowback from admin and some school board members like, look, this is not just for the superintendent. This is for staff usage and those kind of things. And I just want to say the speech and debate team has a national competition that they're involved in, and they are going to have use of the Denali with the Russellville School District logo on it. So like,
okay,
thank you. Like, I think that's a great.
It has a nice sound system. I hope they enjoy it.
Well, and 6 or 7 people can ride in it. So, and luggage. Awesome. And they don't have to pay for a bus, which uses a lot more gas.
That is true, and it'll be a lot more comfortable. I don't hate it. I think that's great.
I think that's, it's heartening to see that we were told this thing, and now it's happening. So
that's generous of you. Yes. Well, let's keep talking about Russellville School District because there are more things to talk about. So last night, the runoff election wrapped up.
Yes. Did it breach 1,000 votes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, and I don't know about election day voting because it takes a ridiculously long amount of time to get election day results from the Secretary of State. But the early voting, I was really proud that Russellville, the only other city with a runoff or area with a runoff that had more votes than us, was in Pine Bluff for their mayor's race.
Yeah.
Because they had a really heated mayor's race going on where a former legislator was running against the current mayor in the Democratic primary. And so anyways, that happened. But besides that, Russellville had the highest turnout, which I thought was great because we, even though it was still very low, considering, there were state legislative races that had lower turnout than this school board race did. Yeah. And so I was really proud of our people for showing up.
Way to go, Russellville.
For the people who did make it, yes. And, pleased with the result that Joe Sikowski won. Honestly, I think both candidates were good. There's nothing bad to say about Tracy Reinhardt. I appreciate him putting his name out there and running a good race.
I encourage him to run again. It's always good to see folks of a different generation running. And not because, it's just there has at some point younger people have to, or there won't be any people there.
I know, right? Do you remember when we were the younger people?
Yeah, when I was the guy,
and now we're kind of not.
I remember being told by a 75-year-old at a city council meeting, "Man, we were kind of afraid of you, that you were going to be some radical, And little did they know that they were right.
They were right. That's what I was going to say. Where are we going? Just own it, Nathan.
Yeah.
But so that happened. Was very exciting. We'll see Joe Sikowski take over that seat. Unlike most
next meeting.
Yeah, before the next meeting. It happens very quickly, probably within the week.
But then they'll have to reorganize, right? They'll have to elect a new
school board president, which typically, I think how the school board does it is they just kind of rotate through. And so what I think is that Holly Hall will probably be the next school board president, but I don't know that for sure.
Right.
Although I think she'd be great if she is.
Yes.
Other things that happened recently with the school board, they had a special meeting, and I kind of dragged them a little bit on social media for this special meeting because it was about setting new pay scale and stipends and things like that, especially pay scale for admin. And I've seen a lot of pushback about it, about that admin's getting raises. But I sat down and I ran numbers. I'm a numbers person. I like it. I sat down and compiled a bunch of data off of the salary contract information, for each year. And I will say that I don't think that the salary scale they put in is a raise for admin. It's pretty consistent with what they already had kind of been at.
Right.
They did change over the stipends to, instead of being a percentage of salary. So it's real complicated how they do it. It's per day rate plus 1.06% or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they took it to just a standardized rate, and I have mixed feelings about it. I know a lot of people were upset about it. I think that I don't hate the standardized rate because I think that it does give more equity across the board for the responsibilities. So if you're the speech and debate coach, your job is the same whether you are a new teacher or you're somebody who's been there for 20 years.
Yeah, there should be no tenure attached to the...
Right, but if you've been there for 20 years, you're going to get paid more for it, which I don't know. I can see both sides.
Well, if you're a really good, successful speech and debate coach, whereas the difference between sports and academic extracurriculars, because they're just a teacher. They're not a AAA, they are AAA, but there is no.
Well, they also did it with coaches. Theirs went to a set rate, and I do think the thing I didn't like about it for the teachers was that they set the rate based on a base pay of $45,000. Well, the base pay for teachers
is $50,000.
Is $50,000. Now that's something that was allowed in the LEARNS Act, so they're following the rules that were set up for them. But I don't think that's fair, to set the rate based on a base rate that isn't actually what the base rate is. They didn't do that with the administrative salary. They set theirs base rate at where it could be. They did not set it below where it actually is. And so that part I was not a huge fan of. But I don't hate the just like kind of straight across the board dollar amount depending on what it is, right? So like
well, but can you get a raise in your stipend?
That's the thing is they'll have to come back and raise the dollar amounts. And so
because right now they could like just say they started a new program. Say they didn't have a speech and debate team, but they wanted to start, like there was a good group of students that were like, we want to start this, and they encourage this teacher to do this, and they give them an X stipend. Well, if he or she goes, 6-7 years and they win a state or a national event, if they were a high school football coach, they would get a significant raise probably, or they would go get a job at some other school. The boosters would have to raise money to try to keep the coach. And so how does that correlate with like the Quiz Bowl coaches won state?
Oh yeah, like the robotics teams have brought tons of positive attention. Yes, for sure. Now there is a definite disparity in the amount of funding that goes to like sports.
And I'm not trying to fight salaries, that. I'm just saying there should be some equitable like calculation. The sports coaches get raises for good performance. The other coaches should also,
Yeah. No, I can see. I can see that. Like, I can kind of see both sides on it. I feel like it was kind of a difficult issue. But let me tell you one thing I found in there that really blew my mind. Let me tell you who the unsung person is who deserves a damn raise.
Ethan Hodge.
No. Yes. Probably yes. Yeah. I mean, not no, but like Ethan's. But let me tell you, Justin Roberts, he's the chief financial officer. He's the CFO for the district. He hasn't had a raise, not a single dollar added to his salary in years. I mean, everybody's been getting a raise. I mean, Jenny McDonald got $26,000 in raise, something like that.
Yeah.
But he started working for the district in 2015, and the data only goes back to 2018. But from 2018 to now, for the last 6 years, they've only raised his salary like $4,000. That's crazy. He does a good job for the district. Like, I don't know why he's not getting a raise when all the other admin are getting raises, but I know he does a good job. I know he deserves it. I know he works hard for the district and is a good, like,
he probably takes a lot of crap,
funding.
too, because he's the money guy.
Because he's the money guy, he probably doesn't want to give it to himself, but I'm telling y'all.
Well, and he has to deal with a whole bunch of people mad at him all the time, or, like, asking him to do things that he can't.
And it's not that he isn't, I mean, he is paid fairly well, but, like, comparatively, he's not getting raises, and I think that that's something that should be noted by the school board, because your chief financial officer has a huge amount of responsibility and is a steward of all of these tax dollars, and his time should be compensated and treated as valuable as everyone else. And so I noticed that when I was looking through the data, I was like, whoa, there's this one person here who's not gotten a raise for like 3 years when everybody else around him has gotten raises, and
people have been added,
tons of positions have been added. Yeah. And so anyways, I wanted to be like, look, shout out to Justin Roberts for
thank you for making sure my wife gets a paycheck.
Yeah, for real, right? So and y'all on school board, give that man a little raise. Make him write his own raise in there. I don't know if it's because he's proposing, like doing the budget. I don't know what it is, but somebody write a raise in for that man.
Okay, so something that we are like have been concerned about, has been talked about a lot, and is about to come to pass. The eclipse, it is going to happen, right? But something that we have been talking about and working towards and hoping for 6 years now, the casino. We thought
the planets are going to align.
Like, it's not this eclipse is not about anything biblical.
Before we get a casino, the planets will align and hell will freeze over before we get a casino.
But we thought all of the big bads, in the game of the casino of Russellville had been defeated. But after the last level, we see that there is potentially another
Like a secret boss level?
Yeah, maybe maybe just maybe there's an extra points level, maybe.
I don't know.
I hope that's as difficult as this might be. Not something super.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Yeah, so we've talked about this a few times that there's the group who did the previous anti-casino ballot measure. They submitted language for another one, and it did get approved. It got rejected once, which we expected, and everybody gets kind of rejected the first time. It's like a tradition. It's like a badge of honor. You have to get rejected the first time you submit a ballot initiative.
But they do say no,
and they're going to. And then the second time, maybe they'll say yes. But they did get approved for it, and that really isn't a big deal necessarily unless there's money behind it. And apparently there is
money behind it.
Yeah.
Where's that money coming from?
It is coming from Choctaw. They are back. They have given $250,000 so far.
So they're back, but not with a vengeance.
We'll see. Well, that's kind of how they played it last time, though, too, was they kind of doled out the money in pieces as they went through. This is starting a lot later than it started last time.
Yeah.
Signatures are due the first week of July 5th, I think. And
that's not long.
It's really not. Yeah. I mean, it will cost a massive amount of money to try to get those signatures.
Well, didn't they spend $4 million last time? It was the most expensive
failure.
Yeah. Wow. Well.
Yep. So they
now the rules are more difficult.
The rules are always more difficult. They always make the rules more difficult. Every session they make the rules more difficult. But yeah, they've gone in hard on consultants and lawyers and auditors and all kinds of stuff. And so we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep people posted. I haven't seen anybody actually out collecting signatures yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure we will begin to see that. They do have to get, basically 100,000 signatures from 50 counties. Oof. It's a lot. It's very hard. I would, and because of how much harder it's gotten, when I worked on a ballot initiative in 2018, you could get the signatures you needed for about $1 million and a half dollars.
Yeah.
Now it's more like $5 million to get the signatures just a few years later. And so we'll see what happens. But that's a lot of money.
A company that they have to hire to do that instead of just going out by themselves, or are they? You think?
Well, I mean, they could go out by themselves and try to do it, but really, you very rarely in Arkansas will see somebody get an initiative to the ballot without doing a very expensive paid signature program. It's very hard. I don't think anybody has gotten an initiative on the ballot with volunteers since 2008. And then it was
was the alcohol.
No, that was the one that the oh God, what are they called, that Christian right group that Ken Yang's part of. Anyways, they did a thing where they had volunteers go out and do where you couldn't adopt if you weren't married, which was really targeted at gay couples, to not allow gay couples to adopt. And so that was in 2008. That's the last time somebody got it on the ballot with volunteers. And that was before the legislature had started to go really hard on, adding all these hoops you have to jump through. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye out for it.
It's a Freedom United Christian Kingdom.
God, I'm trying to think of what they're called. Family. Oh gosh.
You didn't catch that?
No, I did.
Okay.
I did. I'm just trying to think of what they're actually called. It's just slipping my mind. The Family Council. The Family Council.
Yes, the Family Council.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they've been to city council meetings.
Yes. So anywho, they're the last ones that did it with volunteers. So
you sent me something today that I thought was very interesting. Apparently, the state audited the quorum court.
Yeah. So every public body, Arkansas Tech, the cities, all the cities, the county government, the universities, all these state entities are audited by the Office of Legislative Audit, where they make sure that taxpayer dollars are being accounted for appropriately. And that they're following appropriate accounting practices, all these things. So the quorum court has a meeting tomorrow evening, and there's their regular monthly meeting. And I was looking through the agenda before I came over here and saw that there is the audit that's up to be discussed. That's required by law. They have to discuss it.
Yeah, they have to approve it and sign it. And everything.
So I just went to look for the full report and found it. And it did have a couple of things in there that, raised some eyebrows. It was basically saying that there were some unauthorized transactions where money had been withdrawn from the county treasurer's bank account or bank fund without authorization. And it was substantial. It was like $7,500. So I reached out to Judge Cross today and talked to him, and he explained to me that this was basically fraud by a vendor where they had so the state legislature has not passed anything to update the ability for like government to pay things online. Right. So they have to issue paper checks to pay for things. And they had issued a couple of different paper checks out to vendors to pay for things as they're required. And there were people at those companies that kind of like took the checks and tried to run them twice. Basically, they ran them into their personal, like deposited them in their personal account. And they did receive the money from it. But Judge Cross let me know that their local bank here covered that cost.
Like stop payments. They have protections, I'm sure, for
well, I mean, it was paid out, but they reimbursed the county for it, so there's no cost to taxpayers. And they are pursuing the prosecution of it. Now, the likelihood that bank's going to get their money back is low, but it did not cost taxpayers anything. And
it's not real anyway. It's all digital.
Yeah, it's all made up. Maybe we should just print more money.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we got through the last 5 years.
I know. I feel like I can say that when I want to make men angry, and it just makes me so happy. But anyways, I did think it was great. I appreciate Judge Cross explaining it because, I read that and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Money's getting taken out without authorization. That's a problem. And so appreciate him clarifying it. And he talked about the fact that the legislature, this is one of those things the legislature could fix. They could update the law to allow county and city, government bodies to be able to pay things electronically. Like, that's so normal.
Yeah. Would be nice.
It would be nice.
You could,
pay things electronically, sign your voter registration electronically.
Buy local stuff electronically. Like, every business has a Square or a website. I mean,
I don't even have checks anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's just,
we pay our daycare with a check. That's it.
I used to, I used to have one bill I paid with a check, and then they finally went to digital, and now I don't do any.
But after May, that'll be my last payment.
Ooh. Kiddo going to kindergarten.
So thankful for public school.
So other thing on the Quorum Court agenda for tomorrow night is JP Bill Sparks asked to have an agenda item added to discuss developments with the casino. Related to the ballot question committee and the this new initiative, and so should be.
He's wanting to bring in a new vendor.
I don't even know.
There's no telling.
Who even knows? I don't think he's wanting to bring in a vendor. No one.
Bill, just bring it and discuss your retirement. That's like, let's do that.
Stop. But based on knowing who JP Sparks is, he's probably not bringing anything that supports a casino. No. It's very much going to be anti-casino.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting. Last time I think he brought something up. That was when they talked about me being the godmother of Pope County, handing out the Cherokee dollars, $20 at a time. But they're handing out the Choctaw dollars like $150,000 at a time.
Yeah. So if you're the godmother, I'm like I don't know. This would be a weird, like,
you're the nice brother.
Best. Who knows?
You're the nice one. That's what I know. Is you're the one that they call
I'm
and
the
go.
Care Bear.
You are a Care Bear, Nathan.
Care Bear stare.
Yes. Oh my God, I love it. Well, today let me tell you a funny story.
Okay.
So before we wrap this up, people frequently tell us like, "Hey, I want to like loop you in on this issue that's happening.
Yeah.
What's your email? Let me send you an email." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, sure, totally, because all the time.
No, you just give them my phone number.
Well, sometimes. It depends on who they are. But they're like, I want to send you something. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I sent it to them, sent them my email. I thought they were going to like forward me something. No. They just CC'd me onto the whole conversation with the school district about a problem.
Okay.
And suddenly I was just part of the team.
You're in there.
I'm just part of the team.
Hey, I'm just here.
And I'm here for it. It was great. It was so funny. I was
going back and reading all the tea.
I was reading all of them, and I was like, it didn't even like BCC me. Like, just put me just full blast. Like, here she is. So I feel like that's the way to go now. Just like make me part of the team.
If you have trouble with a public entity, just connect
CC me,
Kristen to it via the email, and the people will know that she's reading it.
I won't reply because I don't reply to half of my emails, but I'll read it.
So I have a not funny story, but it also is not like a terrible story.
Okay.
So my son is playing t-ball, and like, you know, we're the type of family that if our kids want to do something, we'll like research it out. We'll try to make sure if it's available, if we can, if they, you know, we want to do it, you know. So, you know, which means we do a lot of things, and because my kids are very social. They're like their mom and dad. Like we love people, and so we go. And my son has his best friend, a little boy named Caden, and they're basically talking while they're fielding the ball, you know, and you know, there's a kid up to bat, and I hear the crack of the bat, and I hear and right in his face. I mean, just like right here, and he's 5. Like we're just at a point now where we've gone from everything is terrible, awful, dramatic to I'm big, you know.
Oh.
And so that ball hit him in the face, and he like hulked out for a minute, and he walks over to me, and he's crying because I was crying, and then like 2 minutes, like, and I'm not trying to force him, like I'm like, dude, are you okay? Like he's like, and then like 2 minutes later, he's back on the field, like just like it never happened.
Well, you know, Nathan,
dude.
if you had video of it, we could have posted it, and then people could have told that other kid what a fucking asshole.
No,
I'm just kidding.
no.
People were so mean that one time though. It made me like, oh yeah, no, I got.
But
you.
like like that's what I love about our community is like the parents that were there, like the coach, like everybody was like, is everything okay? And but they didn't make a big deal out of it so that he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And it was just like, let's go. You know, in the RYBA, Russellville Youth Baseball Association, like that's a great organization that does kids sports. So like, we got a good community.
Your kid is precious.
He is.
My kid,
most of the time.
My kid is a teenager. So I got an email literally at 8:18 in the morning on a school day that my son had flipped off a teacher with both hands and got caught. At 8:18 in the morning, I'm like, really? We got to start off like this? 14 years old. Yeah. And then he texted me in the afternoon. He was like, did you get a call? And I was like, I said, I got an email. And he said, grounded. I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, my dad used to tell me, look, if you're gonna mess up, make sure you deserve it. Like, you know, if you're gonna get punished for it, I mean, you might as well earn it.
I do feel like he came by it honestly, because when I was a teenager, I got in trouble one time. I got suspended from cheerleading because I flipped off a monk at the Abbey.
Oh my gosh.
It actually wasn't.
What is wrong with you?
I wasn't actually flipping off the monk. I was flipping off a boy, but
okay. But now that
but the monk was like right in my eye line, and he saw it, and he thought it was directed at him, and I got in a lot of trouble. My parents still like to tell that story about the time I got suspended.
You know, if you were my kid, I would tell that story too. Mm-hmm. You know.
So I mean, you know, he comes by it honestly.
I would not be surprised if. I mean, listen, my children are very vocal. They will tell you what they think. So, but they're good. They're good kids.
They are good kids.
Well, listen, we want to hear about your kids too. So, like, you could tell us, or you could message us about anything going on in locally with politics. Please share this video with your friends and family on social media, and don't forget to check out our sponsors. We talked about them early on. The Golden Astronaut. You can hit up Retro Roast and Dog Ear Books. Again, share this video with your friends. Let them know what's going on locally, and we'll see y'all next week.